A land shattered by war, torn between two ideologies where people are forever separated by a line. On one side, a nation of extreme control, isolated from the world. On the other hand, a country that was once suffering, now leading the world in technology, culture, and innovation. The story begins right after World War II. The Korean peninsula, previously under Japanese occupation, was suddenly in chaos. When Japan surrendered in 1945, Korea was liberated, but its fate was decided by two foreign powers, the Soviet Union and the United States. They divided the country across the 38th parallel, a line that would soon be soaked in blood. 5 years later, the Korean War erupted. The North launched a surprise invasion into the South, which started the most brutal conflict of the 20th century. The war lasted 3 years. Cities were turned to dust, families were torn apart, and millions of civilians fled for their survival. By 1953, an armistice was finally signed, but peace never actually came. The two Koreas remained divided, the North under the control of Kim Il-sung and the South left in ruins. The world was asking, could South Korea recover from such disaster? Throughout the 1950s, South Korea had lots of problems. Bombed out cities, a shattered economy, and millions of refugees. It was a country on the brink of collapse. But within the suffering, something extraordinary was brewing, a fire of resilience. In the 1960s, President Park Chung-hee took the throne. He led the country on an aggressive path of industrialization. South Korea had little in terms of natural resources, but it had willpower and a determined workforce. The government poured money into education and factories. At first, they started small, making textiles and shoes, but quickly they were making ships, cars, and electronics. Samsung, Hyundai, LG, these giants were born from a nation that just years before basically had nothing. South Korea's rise was fueled by a simple but powerful belief that through hard work, sacrifice, and collective effort, the impossible could be achieved. By the 1980s, that belief became reality. The economy soared once the war-torn wasteland turned into the 10th largest economy in the world. But while the South soared, North Korea remained trapped in a time capsule. They live in isolation. They're fed a steady diet of propaganda with no access to the outside world. To this day, it's a place where electricity is scarce, where hunger has killed millions, and where freedom is a distant dream. But the government still survives with the help of China and Russia. They remain a key player in geopolitics even as its people remain in the dark, both literally and figuratively. It's a huge difference to the thriving busy cities of South Korea, where progress is visible in every street and skyscraper. The Korean peninsula has remained divided for over 70 years, and yet the dream of reunification lingers in the hearts of many Koreans. In moments of tension, the hope fades, but in moments of calm, the dream flickers back to life. What would a united Korea even look like? Do you think South Korea's spirit of progress and creativity can be shared with the North? Or is the divide just too wide after all these years? What do you think? Let me know in the comments and hit the like button if you learned something new.